What's up, everyone? It's Roger here from DisKingdom.com with This Kingdom podcast, and I'm joined and a special guest today, Ethan from MagicBandCollectors.com, and we're going to be discussing everything to do with the Walt Disney World, loads of updates, tons of stuff. Ethan sent over to me. So, Ethan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's funny. I'm doing an evening broadcast. I'm like 12 hours late.
Yeah, it's night there and it's mid-afternoon here. Nice and sunny, so.
Yeah, I know. It's quite weird the sun's in the wrong place today. But anyway, we've got loads and loads to be discussing. There's been tons and tons of Walt Disney World's news. Just going to go for a few highlights to get so you know what is going to be coming on. I'm talking about all the new stuff that's come or already coming to Disney Springs. The new nighttime adventures and activities coming to Animal Kingdom. Soarin and Frozen and a few other bits and pieces coming to Epcot. Again, more bits and pieces from from Hollywood Studios, including the Muppets area, and all the new attractions coming to Animal Kingdom and a few other bits and pieces. But just before we get going, I just want to give a quick big thank you to Ethan for being our Patreon. So if you haven't already done so, check out MagicBandCollectors.com and also SorterApps.com. So if you're into Magic Band, you definitely want to check that one out. So I thought I'd do a little plug straight at the beginning before. So, Ethan, I'll let you start off. Should we start off with the Disney Springs, since that was on the top of your list?
Yeah. We'll start there. I mean, that's the big news this week has been Disney Springs, the town center opening up. I mean, it's like all over the internet. Everybody's posting pictures of what it looks like and stuff. It's really beautiful. My wife and I took our kids down there the first day that it opened in the morning, and we kind of just walked around, and it's a huge area. I would say downtown Disney has just basically gained 30% more space.
Yeah, it's so big.
That's big because downtown Disney was already pretty big in Walt Disney World compared to Disneyland, and so there's just a lot of walking area and new beautiful architecture and stores. There's not a lot of shaded area, so on a hot day it can get pretty hot. Lots of concrete. Yeah, there's this one area called the Mall. Like it's kind of like this. I don't know if it's called the Mall, but it's like this kind of old train stop kind of looking place, and you go inside and it's all shaded, and it feels like you're in a mall. And it's pretty small, but it's really the only shaded area in there. But it's just really nice in there. Go ahead.
I was just going to add. So with this new area, this now town center, I've been hearing reports that it's not particularly Disney. Is that right?
It's not particularly what was that?
Disney. There's not very much Disney stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like it has a very outlet mall kind of feel to it, like just a regular mall that maybe you would see in Las Vegas. It's got a lot of high-end stores. It's got a lot. I mean, you're probably not going to really be shopping down there unless you have a lot of money, because to be honest, some of the stores are just really high-end, and it kind of does feel a little bit out of place. I kind of agree with that. Now, they have incorporated some kind of more kid-friendly and Disney kind of things into the Springs area. One of them is there's a cupcake store, and there's a burger, a place called Deluxe Burgers, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, these burgers are really, really good, and it's run by Disney, which is surprising because Disney's food isn't known for being the best. And they're at a decent price, and so they kind of mix these little eateries inside of the Disney Springs, but then a lot of the shops are really high end and not really kid friendly. So you're right, it doesn't quite have the Disney feel.
Yeah.
But I think if you're out and about and shopping, and that's what you want to do, and you want to spend a day away from the theme parks, the whole downtown Disney area as a whole is a good place to explore. And on one side you've got the entertainment with the bowling and a movie theater and Cirque du Soleil. Another side, you've got the World of Disney and the Lego store. And in between now, it's kind of like this adult kind of area where the adults can do their shopping and have their time. Yeah. So, it doesn't feel like Disney just if you just look at the town center. But if you look at the whole concept of all of downtown Disney together, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and they're still adding more stuff to it, aren't they? They're still expanding down there, still trying to make it look bigger and adding more stores.
Yeah. There's still some areas that are walled off, and there's still some stores that haven't opened yet that are going to be opening throughout the summer. In fact, the guide map that you get, you can pick up a guide map now, and they've got directories and stuff, kind of like a mall has a directory. And it says right on the thing, opening summer 2016. So you can see all the things that are actually coming.
Yeah.
Some of the big ones on my list here, let's take a look. They've got a STK steak restaurant that just opened. They've got the Edison, which is another restaurant opening. Fulton's Crab House is becoming Paddlefish in 2016, and it's going to have a working water wheel. There's a bunch of different stores that just the list is too long to go through, but there's a bunch of different stores that just haven't opened yet, which should just kind of even make it even more lively down there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it definitely seems to be kind of definitely expanding down there, and all the bits and pieces going on. I know we've been, it was like we were discussing this, like before. They're just, they're definitely going after a different audience. They're trying to make people so they don't go to the outlet mall, so they don't go, maybe down to City Walk and to the Florida Mall. They want to try and keep everybody on property.
Yeah, and I think before they had Pleasure Island. And they got rid of Pleasure Island, I think, partly because it just wasn't making the money, because you have a lot of 20-something-year-olds and 30-something-year-olds coming in there who don't have any money, and they just want to go to the club. Where now you've got high-end shopping, high-end restaurants. Disney can charge through the roof for like rent, for leasing. And I think it's just more money for Disney and a higher-end experience, and it keeps everybody on property, like you said.
Yeah, that's cool. Anything else from Disney Springs? Oh, I mean, like I said, they've been sort of doing so many different shops and stuff lately. But it'd be great to sort of see what it looks like in sort of 6 months or so when it's all done.
Yeah. I think it's still worth checking out if you're in the area. But I agree, 6 months from now is when you're really going to see the full thing kind of developed and done. There's still some areas that are going to be walled off through 2017, but for the most part, it'll be done by the end of the summer. I mentioned Deluxe Burgers. I ate there. It was great. There's a Morimoto Asia walk-up quick service. For those who don't know, Chef Morimoto is like a celebrity chef. And it was pretty good, but the prices are pretty high. I mean, that's the thing about Disney Springs now, is the prices are pretty high wherever you go.
Yeah.
I
think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the last time we went there, the only time we really, unless it was like on the quick service meal that we had with our thing, you might have 1 or 2 meals there at sort of over your trip to kind of have a knife and fork kind of thing. But generally, it's not. It's kind of like high end kind of thing of what you're going to be able to do.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have money, if you're on a budget, if you're on a Disney World budget, skip Disney Springs. Honestly.
Well, or as we did, we just used to eat a lot of Earl of Sandwich.
Or just do quick service or whatever. I mean, Earl of Sandwich is great. It's good food, good sandwiches, and it doesn't cost very much. Stick in the marketplace. Stay where all the toy stores and Lego store and stuff is. You don't have to go into the town center, but it's for a certain type of client, I guess.
Yeah. Anything else on there before we actually head into the park news?
Nope. I think that's good for Disney Springs.
Okay, so we're going to jump over to the Animal Kingdom. So there's been we've had lots of news coming through recently of sort of Animal Kingdom is having this massive expansion with all the nighttime activities, which I think is opening up all this weekend. Is it? I think that's right. I think so. We're going to have a new safari. We're going to
starting today. So today it's open till 11 o'clock at night, which is the latest Animal Kingdom has ever been open, and it's going to have a number of days where it stays open like that from now on. They're starting a new Jungle Book Alive with Magic show, which is a temporary replacement for Rivers of Light. Rivers of Light's been delayed because of some technical issues. So they've got this new Jungle Book show, which is going to have water features that display scenes from the Jungle Book on the water and on the tree. The tree comes to life with lights and stuff on it. And then also opening today is the Tiffin's Restaurant and Nomad Lounge, in which you can actually get a Jungle Book Fast Pass Plus dining package for to go to the new restaurant and see the new show, and it looks really cool. I'm excited for it, and it's something that gets more people into Animal Kingdom later.
I mean, I think I like the idea of the safari, and there's always that thing. I think I was wondering, like, with that Rivers of Light thing, because obviously it's been delayed and there's been things of the speed that Jungle Book show got put together. Do you think they're going to maybe do like pre River of Light shows where something maybe very temporary goes in? Because the speed they put that in definitely seems like they've got the ability to do something very last minute.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of World of Color in Disneyland, where they just change basically the projection that they're projecting out onto the water or onto the tree, and it could just be scenes from a movie, and they could just change it up at any time. So it does seem like they could probably do that if they wanted to.
Yeah, especially if it fits the theme.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if they do more of that in the future. But I'm glad that they threw something together so quickly, because everybody was super excited about Rivers of Light, and then it got delayed, and everybody was pretty bummed about it. So
it's going to be interesting, because it's like, there was always this complaint that Animal Kingdom was like a half-day park, that you kind of got to 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you had to go. But I'm going to be honest, it was never a really big issue for me, because it was always the question, right, go there and then you catch the bus outside to go down to downtown Disney or whatever. That was kind of what you planned to do, or you'd go to the boardwalk, or maybe even jump to another park. And you kind of, it was like that for a while, but now it's like got a few hours in the evening. I think it's definitely going to add sort of the value to that park.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think that this is just step number one in adding the value, is doing the safari nighttime thing, the Jungle Book thing, the new restaurant. But then they're kind of getting prepared for Avatar coming next year.
Yeah.
And Avatar at night is probably going to be just awesome too, with the glow, the lights of the trees and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's kind of there's still not enough to do, in my opinion, to necessarily make it a complete full day. I mean, there's the nighttime experience and the daytime experience, which is different, but I think that this definitely is a step in the direction that they want to go. And I think once Avatar opens, then you're really going to have enough to do to really last you until 11 o'clock.
And also, I mean, are they doing in the evenings? Are they doing like the Finding Nemo show, the Lion King show? Is Everest running? Dinosaur? Are they all running as well, or do they got less hours, still closing around the same time?
As far as I understand, most of that stuff will continue to be open. I think the things that involve the shows that involve the animals, like there's a bird show that they do, and some, Rafiki's Planet Watch, where you take the train out to the, I think that probably won't be running, because it's going to disturb the animals. But the stuff down towards maybe the front of the parks that don't disturb the animals in the back will probably continue to go. And then, and that way they can still keep some. I know Everest is going to go for sure, so that would be really neat at night.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's been cool as well. I think maybe as well, if you're turning up a little bit later on, and maybe maybe not getting there first thing in the morning. Though I'd always sort of think it's best to do if you can do them, especially like safari. Now you're essentially having it two different ones, because the animals are going to be different zones.
Yeah. And you'll have the safari will actually be two different rides. I would actually, if I could make a recommendation to somebody, I would say do a half day at Animal Kingdom in the morning, and then something else at night, and then another day do a half at night in Animal Kingdom. So you're kind of you're splitting Animal Kingdom into 2 days, one in the morning and one at night, because you're going to get two completely different experiences, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely. I think it's like great to have all this new stuff coming down Animal Kingdom, expanding it, giving people a bit more value, and also I think it's good timing with what's been going on over in Hollywood Studios, to kind of give a little bit more value of all this stuff opening literally at the same time that Star Wars Land is all kind of closing. You can kind of go, well, we're building here, but we have just opened up all of this new stuff and all these new events, to kind of counteract that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. With half of Hollywood Studios gone, at least you can now stay at Animal Kingdom later. So,
yeah, I mean it's definitely there. Anything else on the Animal Kingdom? Oh, so we've got the Tree of Life. So that's all going to be sort of looking rather pretty. I mean, that's going to be a massive improvement.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna see that thing come to life. I've seen some video of it. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it in person. Yeah, I'm not gonna go this weekend because it's Memorial Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend here in the U.S. and
Yeah.
it is just crazy at the parks right now. I went to Epcot this morning to pick up the new Alice Through the Looking Glass Magic Band, and
Yeah.
it was just slammed with people. I had to get out of there. I don't as a local, I don't like going when there are people. I like going like on a Tuesday morning.
It's just that figure like, oh yeah, I popped into Epcot this morning to pick something up and I left. It's just like, woo! It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like just pop into Walmart. So yeah, I've just popped in to pick something up. I just popped into Epcot just to grab.
It is pretty
band.
cool. It is pretty nice to be able to say that.
Because I was going to say, because I saw that Alice in Wonderland new band, because obviously limited edition one, perfect timing with the movie coming out.
Yeah.
Are you going to go see Alice Through the Looking Glass this weekend, or are you going to wait a couple of weeks? Or?
Nah, I think I'm gonna wait till that comes out at home because I saw the first one and I didn't think it was anything special. I liked the cartoon, the Alice in Wonderland, but I didn't like the live action, and I think this one looks just the same, and the reviews don't look good, so I'm gonna hold off.
Yeah, I need to watch. I want to watch the original one or the live action one again this weekend because I don't remember it at all. And I do wonder if it made so much money because it was just 3D, the first kind of like Disney 3D movie. Yeah, it's not getting great reviews, and it's also, and to be honest, I think coming out bang on the same time as X-Men, which I went to see last night. That was fantastic. So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, we definitely want to see X-Men. My wife's a huge X-Men fan, so.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And that magic band, does it light up? Did you get to try that out? Because obviously it's one of the limited ones, isn't it?
So it, from what I understand, it does. I bought it and then got out of there because the lines to get in were just crazy long. Yeah. And even if it made sounds, I wouldn't have been able to hear it because it's just too noisy there. But from what I understand, it shows the little ring, but it shows it like ticking like a clock because time is in the movie, and I guess it goes like that and makes some kind of ticking noise. So I'm going to try to get a video up. Yeah, I'm going to try to get a video up on the site like this week sometime.
Okay. I think that's all the Animal Kingdom stuff, isn't it?
Yep, that should be it for Animal Kingdom.
Yep. So since you were in Epcot this morning, we might as well move into that one there as well. So the big news really, Soarin. That's kind of coming back. Is it this weekend? It's going to have, or in a couple of weeks, it's having like a few weeks of the old movie, the classic one, before they switch it out with the new Soarin' Around the World.
Yep. So it'll be Soarin' over California. Is in the theater now. Open today. Whoops, my phone's kind of going off here. All right. The Soarin' over California is the current movie right now. They brought it back for a limited time run of 3 weeks until June 17th. On June 17th, they switch it over to the Soarin'. Is it Soarin' Around the World? I think it is. And
around
the world. Around the world, yeah. And so June 17th is Soarin' Around the World. And so if you want to go see Soarin' over California, go see it now if you're in the area. But it has new carpet. There's new carpet, new wallpaper, new screens. A new elevator's been put in, a third theater, so it doesn't. Hopefully, the wait times won't be as long. Yeah. And the coolest thing is all digital with laser projection. So the screen, I guess, from what I've been hearing, is crystal clear. There's no artifacts. Everything is working perfectly right now. And then when the Soarin' Around the World comes out, it's going to be even clearer. I'm sure it's filmed in like 4K or something. So
I mean, it's nice that they can kind of flip out the old one because obviously they must be able to use it, and maybe because I know there's been a lot of talk about, I think people like, especially over in the California one, would like to have the option of the two or do special events where they can, you can imagine they're going to start flipping the old one back in regularly just to kind of do it, but maybe Epcot doesn't quite necessarily need it. I mean, I was lucky enough to see it on YouTube, but yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of, especially in California, like in Disneyland, Disney's California Adventure, you would think that they would keep the California one there and maybe like do the over the world one or around the world one here, or allow you to like choose. Maybe one theater has one and the other theater has another one. I don't know why they necessarily need to get rid of the ride completely. You could almost make it two separate rides, kind of like how Star Tours, it's always changing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
I think that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been good to. Would have loved the idea of having that kind of, flipping between them and stuff. I was really hoping that they might have had like Soarin' Around the World come to Paris. I know they've been talking about that for a while, but watching the Chinese one, which I think there's going to be just. I'm guessing there's going to be some, like, the end is going to be different for each. Like, you're going to be ending where you are, or kind of change it around a little bit. But it does look rather cool, though. It looked a little bit like so short in each area. They're trying to fit a little bit too long in. It kind of didn't quite. I don't know if it will feel slightly different. It didn't really feel very immersive because it was happening so quickly, flipping between places.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out June 17th, or at least I will. So,
Yeah.
and I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, I'm only going on for YouTube. It's just, but then I think they're running it. I mean, the idea is that it opens up in Shanghai officially on the 16th, and then it's going to flip in Disney World and California Adventure. And I don't know about Japan. I don't know I think Japan is flipping over to it as well. Basically, they're all being upgraded. I think they've all been using this as an excuse to upgrade all of them at once. Maybe all have different videos and stuff. But then this is the best thing about having the multiple parks, is essentially then some of the development costs get spread between all the different parks, because then it's not one park picking it up.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of, I'm going to change the subject just for a second. But did you see the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Shanghai?
Yeah, it did looks really good. It definitely looks like it's,
that looks awesome. Yeah,
but it's also quite kind of classic as well. It wasn't quite. I was expecting it to be a lot more. It still felt very like authentic. They just changed it around a bit.
Yeah. I'm a little bit jealous about that, and about the Tron Light Cycle ride. I think those look amazing. But
yeah, but I think all this stuff that's going on, like with the Iron Man attraction in Hong Kong, all this stuff was these are going to be going into other. It wouldn't surprise me if like Ratatouille ends up coming to Epcot next. They're going to start shifting some of this development cost because they've spent all this money on these projects. It makes sense to spread them around the world. Give Shanghai first. And let them have it first while they're going over the Star Wars land. But I think a lot of these attractions are going to end up spreading around all over the place anyway.
Well, I hope you're right. I know Epcot. Epcot's the next park here in Walt Disney World to get a major remake is going to be Epcot. So
yeah, I was reading an article the other day, and like with Epcot, it needs a massive upgrade. The whole of Future World is well, it's not very futuristic at the moment.
No, not at all. It's like going back in time. It's terrible.
Yeah. I was going to say, because the DVC lounge is now open above the Figment ride, which opens next week as well.
Yeah,
which.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Again, it just seems like we've got this big empty space. We don't know what to do with it. Let's just put put free Wi-Fi and a coffee lounge.
Yeah. I mean, I know DVC members have complained a lot recently about their benefits not seeming to be as good as they were when DVC was first created 20 plus years ago. Now 25 years ago, actually. And when DVC was first created 25 years ago, you would get a free annual pass with your membership and your renewals and all this kind of stuff. And so when they took all those away, I think there was just like, well, how is this exclusive to us at all? So I think this gives them a little bit of like, here's your lounge. But I agree with you. It's like, why can't you turn that into a ride or do something cool with it?
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a massive overhaul to the Future World. Once they finish with Star Wars Land and Hollywood Studios and Toy Story Land are all done up, that'll be that. Because in some ways it makes they've attacked the Magic Kingdom with new Fantasyland. They're doing Animal Kingdom. They've introduced all the night stuff, and then obviously Pandora going to be opening up next year. That's all part of that. Star Wars Land, Toy Story Land. There's only one part left after that to kind of upgrade. Probably the needs it the most.
Well, actually, on my list here of things that are happening in Epcot, I'm going to skip down the list here and look at the rumor of the Sum of All Thrills, which is a virtual reality roller coaster where you kind of make your own roller coaster and then you go on it. You get in the little pod. That's supposedly going to be closing in Innovations East. And Innovations East and Innovations West are the two kind of Future World areas on the right and the left side of the Future World Park. And they've completely closed everything almost in both of those. The only thing that's new is this Colortopia area that's opened recently. But everything else is like closing. And in fact, if you walk into Innovations West, I don't even know if you can walk in there. It's all boarded up. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And so it really, I think they've already started the process of saying, how do we redo Future World? They just haven't announced anything yet, because they're closing.
I mean, I think didn't they bring like Bimax and Joy and Sadness kind of spread out from the character spot into one of the side bits there to kind of use that space?
Yeah. I think they're kind of using the space temporarily, and I think it's just a place to put people right now.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, behind the scenes, they're looking at it saying, okay, what can we do with this?
I mean, it's quite weird. It's literally right bang in the middle of the park and it's empty. And, and then you've got you've got the Ellen Snore Fest, that could be demolished. And I think Figment, as much as everyone wants I think everyone wants a new Figment ride, or go back to the one it was, because this one's never seemed to have been very, very popular.
Yeah, we need to have something more like creative and imaginatory, or whatever you want to say. With Figment, it's just really kind of corny, and Ellen's is like, get rid of Ellen's, and that's a huge building. Also, you've got the festival center in the back with it, where it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, there's so much empty space in that area just being wasted. And I think, there's been, talk of like I say, obviously we've got the new Frozen attraction opening up literally in a couple of weeks, which I think is going to be a massive boost for Epcot. And again, good timing with Hollywood Studios being down.
Yep, and that comes June 21st. We're excited about that as well. I've got an 8-year-old daughter, so we'll be on that one on day one. And but from what I understand, it's just the Maelstrom ride, and then they just redid an overlay of everything. Yeah. But still, it's something new. It's something exciting. They're opening a new meet and greet area over there, which will bring the princesses, which will bring Anna and Elsa out of Magic Kingdom and over into Epcot, and it gives a reason for parents to bring their kids over there and kind of explore. I'm going to be honest. I am actually completely with the idea of bringing Frozen into it, because I know they can't keep those attractions the same forever, because they're not bringing it in. They can't keep building new attractions on the outside and keep all the other ones doing. There's a lot of kids that basically hate going to Epcot because there's nothing really to do there. There's only a few attractions. For me, we love going around the World Showcase. It's fantastic. It's a lovely stroll around. It doesn't feel like you're in a theme park in the same way because of how there's no attract. But I'd love to see more attractions, more characters, and more character themed. I think that's where they're going to be going anyway. Because if they're going to put in a new attraction, they're going to tie it with a character, because there's money to be made. The days of them doing that anymore are gone. I agree. I totally agree with you. I actually have no problem with them taking Maelstrom away. I know a lot of the hardcore Disney fans were all up in arms about it. I thought it was a great idea. I think Maelstrom, it was a very weird ride. It might have been a little bit educational about Norway and this and that, but you know what? Like you said, times change. You've got to compete. Everybody's got IP, intellectual property now, that they've got to push. You've got Harry Potter down the street. You got King Kong and whatever. Man, who knows what's going to come next? You can't compete with some weird Maelstrom ride. Yeah. You've got to put Frozen in there. And like you said about Ratatouille, like my hope would be that each country stayed the way it is, but they'd each have a ride that was for kids, so the kids would get excited about going, and then the parents could show the kids around this country and do some educational stuff too. So like Ratatouille should come into France, and all the countries should have some special ride. I mean,
it's also like, I know for myself, like, the O Canada and the China, the 360 ones, they were great, but they were great 10, 15 years ago. Now technology's moved on. They were a huge space. Once you've seen it they were huge spaces. They can be gone. Like you said, the whole area which they have the festival of food and wine in. That's just basically a big empty space ready to be demolished.
Yeah.
Done something.
No, you got some slowdown on the internet here.
So we've got the all right. Okay, so we got the new show coming to Canada called Alberta Bound.
Yeah, so you've got a new Alberta-bound show in Canada. You know, ever since Off Kilter left, which was a long, long-running show there, a lot of the hardcore Disney fans got upset. So they brought in a new show, and it was like a lumberjack show, and I guess it was just terrible. People hated it, and so now they've got a new show, and it's decent. And I guess it's going to be more, that Canada area is going to be more revolving shows. It's not going to be one group that stays there for 20 years. It's going to be a new group a year kind of thing. Yeah. So there's just a new group coming in there. And then over in the Finding in the Turtle Talk with Crush area, they're adding in Finding Dory characters into Turtle Talk with Crush. So I think they got Hank the Octopus and some other stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's a great idea. Great way of kind of tying in with the new movie this summer. Probably not too expensive to bring in. Great, again, just keeping it up to date, because I've always felt Disney sometimes very, very slow to kind of, you know, the synergy between the new movies and the new characters and stuff. It seems to be sometimes a little bit slow, a little bit. You know, I think Zootopia or Zootropolis, they didn't do quite so bad with that one. So I seem to get sort of Nick and Judy in there pretty much when the movie came out. Seem to be a little bit slow in doing that. I mean, again, I think Living with the Seas needs a little bit of an upgrade, because some of it's looking a little bit dated.
Yeah. And I think one thing that Disney actually has an advantage of going forward is making more attractions use the latest technology, which includes things like projections, because you can, like with the Soarin' ride, how they can just change in a new movie, or with the Jungle Book and Rivers of Light, they just change it over. They need to do that with like Turtle Talk. They're just adding in new animation. They don't have to tear down the whole building and build up these new animatronics. If you can make new rides in Future World that can easily be switched over to include new characters from new movies, then it always feels fresh. And I feel like Epcot has had a problem with keeping everything's fresh.
Well, I do think as well with Epcot, you know, I think we're going to get to with Soarin' basically getting that upgrade. You know, the Circle of Life got, you know, the land had its kind of almost a bit of time this year to kind of refresh itself, because I think, you know, this nicely done now for the buildings. Because I don't know if, like with Future World, whether or not they need necessarily to do the entire like Star Wars land demolish. They can probably retrofit the buildings because they're big enough inside to kind of from scratch. You know, like you say, with the innovations with Ellen, and also maybe, you know, with the seas and stuff, they can do it retrospectively and do them one by one. Probably a little bit easier than maybe the way Hollywood Studios is being done.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Hollywood Studios.
Yes. Nice plug. There we go. Segue. So what's going on over there?
So in Hollywood Studios, the third track of Toy Story Midway Mania just opened, and I guess it's already dramatically reducing the wait time there. The wait time has consistently, even on slow days, been 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes just to get on the ride if you don't have a fast pass. And some people went over there yesterday, I think the third track opened, and it was a walk-on right in the morning. I mean, you could just walk right on. And so I'm hoping as time goes forward, where it's not like a holiday weekend, that the ride will be, 20 minutes to get on the ride instead of 2 hours. So that's a new thing. The Muppets area over by Muppets 3D, there used to be a Toy Story Pizza Planet, but because they're building the Toy Story Pizza Planet quick service restaurant, because they're building the Toy Story Land, they've closed down that restaurant, and they're now going to change that restaurant into a Pizza Rizzo. And Rizzo, if you don't know, is the little rat guy from Muppets. It's quite funny. And it has a revamped menu, and it's opening in late 2016. And so that whole Muppets area that they're calling Muppets Courtyard is kind of going to be a neat little area. And I've always felt they need to do more with Muppets.
Yeah. It's the Muppets is always one of those odd things, I think, especially with the show, especially the latest show in the movies. They've not really been able to kind of catch the audience. Just leave it as it is. I mean, I think it's like, it'd be great to have a new movie go in that place, because upgrade the movie, change that around a bit. But I know there's a lot of kind of people going, well, that was the last thing Jim Henderson worked on, and they don't want it to change. And I think I
don't like that thought. I don't like that. I mean, really, they should change it. You're right. I mean, it's a perfect example of all they need to do is make a new movie. You don't need to tear down the building. You don't need to change anything.
Yeah.
Just put a new movie in there, and you got a whole new attraction.
They could have upgraded, the Muppets one with a new movie or the new TV series, and I think, it definitely feels like I do like the idea of that being the Muppets area staying as it is, because I think with all the Toy Story, there's no really Muppet representation everywhere else, and it makes sense to do that. I mean, I think obviously when Hollywood Studios becomes whatever it's going to become, a little bit of Muppets is not a bad thing for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are actually concerned that Hollywood Studios is going to turn into Star Wars and Toy Story, and that's it. And there's not going to be a whole lot of representation of other things. And so I'm glad the Muppets area is going to be there, because it does need variety.
It depends. I mean, I think they've always got space for that Indiana Jones area to do something with that later once Star Wars Land's done, and maybe, and also whatever's going on with Hollywood Studios with the Tower of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be honest, as much as all this stuff that's been going on out for Guardians of the Galaxy, that to me that makes complete and utter sense. Though that obviously can't happen in Florida because of Universal, but. Yeah, I mean, I think I've never quite understand the attraction of Twilight Zone, because it was a really old TV show. How many kids really know what that is nowadays? I don't.
No.
I don't even remember growing up with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it works. Obviously, it only works in California. They can't do Marvel stuff here, so yeah. But I agree.
It's kind of one of those old ones. Also, you got down here, Green Army Man show opens later this week. So what's that one all about?
So I think it's just like a street show. It's not like an actual attraction. It's just when you walk down. So you walk down Pixar Place, and we're by Toy Story Midway Mania, and now there's just a big wall at the end because you can't go back there anymore. You can't go past the backlot tour and all that. So at the end of the wall, they've
Yeah. Oh, let me just sort it. It's definitely Oh, there's it gone? And eek. Okay, so Ethan slightly dropped off there. Yeah, so like I said, we got the new Green Army Man show. There's also set to be a new restaurant coming around Echo Lake, waffles, nachos, sliders, etc. So that'll all be coming in. So that looks quite interesting. We also have according to this list here that he just put down, the Eiffel Tower also got removed quite a while ago, and there's also a new Star Wars spectacular fireworks and projection show starting on June the 17th. So that looks quite interesting to see that happen. Okay, and he's got out. Okay, so like I said, so that's all the stuff that's been going on over there with let's see if we can bring him in. He's not in there at all. So I'm going to eject him out and carry on. Okay, right. So while that one's still been going on there, like I said, so all this stuff going on there. Going to have a look here. There's also over at the Broadwalk, we have got new ice cream parlor, and Ample Hills Creamy is now open on the Broadwalk. Over at the we've also the Frying Fish restaurant. It's no longer a cafe, now become a bar, a lounge bar. And the Copper Creek Villas and Cabins at the Disney World Lodge is the name of the resort for the 14th Disney Resort. Let's see, here he comes back in. He's coming back in. He's not doing a lot. And there we go. There we go. Can we see him? I can see him. There we go.
Okay.
You back in the room?
Yeah, something happened with my internet. It just totally dropped out. I'm actually using my phone right now to stream this.
Yes. So I just quickly went through there a little bit from the stuff that's going over on at the Broadwalk, the new ice cream place, the new Flying Fish restaurant, and so that definitely looks to be nice things they're doing. A few bits and pieces over there.
Yep, and they got a new DVC, Copper Creek Villas and Cabins is coming to the Wilderness Lodge as well.
Yeah, and also just going to finish off with the Hollywood Studio stuff. There's a few new quick service restaurants opened up, doing waffles. Yeah,
so they've got. Let's see. I kind of lost my place here. Okay, yeah. So they've got some new quick service restaurants around Echo Lake, and part of the reason that they did this was because of when they closed the back to do Star Wars and Toy Story, they actually had to close a pretty big quick service restaurant in the back as well.
Yeah.
And so they moved some very small little places does nachos and waffles and sliders. I think it's 3 different restaurants, like little tiny walk-up stands. So they've added those. And then they've got Star Wars: A Galactic Spectacular Fireworks and Projection Show coming June 17th. And I think that's going to use some of the same technology that is being used in Disneyland for the Paint the Night show, where they project stuff on the buildings. So they built these huge projectors, and they're kind of theming them right now to fit in. And so that should be pretty cool. And again, that's another technology where Disney can always switch out, like when Rogue One comes out, they can switch out and put new Rogue One projections in there. So that'll be
also good to see sort of Star Wars being represented now while all this stuff's been going on, but also like I say, bringing in Star Wars while they're building all the things and just keeping something new and fresh. Yeah,
definitely. And one of the things that I really, really miss this year is there's no Star Wars weekends.
Yeah.
Because they've shut it down. And they're not going to have Star Wars weekends anymore because the new Star Wars land. So what are they going to do between now and when Star Wars land's open to get those people who are super excited about Star Wars weekends to come? And this is one of those things that they can do. It's not quite, obviously it's not what it used to be, but at least it's something to hold us over.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of an interesting one with that, with all the stuff that's going on in Hollywood studios. Kind of nice to see all the other things opening around it this summer to kind of boost away from it, which I think would tie us nicely over the new shows coming to the Magic Kingdom. If you want to give us a little info on that one.
Yeah, so there's a new show, Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair, opens June 17th. It was just they needed to refresh that old show. It was there for 20 years or 15 years or however long. And it's just a new show for the kids. It has Mickey and some new characters that have never been out on that stage show come out. I think Rapunzel and Princess Tiana and some other things. So that's coming June 17th. And then there's also another new show coming called Mickey's Most Merriest Celebration. And that's coming to the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party on starting November 7th. And that's that paid event that it costs you, anywhere from $60 to $100 to go to the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So there's a new show in there. And speaking of those parties, the Halloween party and the Christmas party this year now have the new tiered pricing.
Yeah.
And that means some tickets to these events closer to Christmas and Halloween are over $100 a person to go to these events.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, are you going to, family of 4, are you going to pay $400 to go to this 4-hour, 5-hour event? I don't know.
Yeah. See, I think this thing is like from like international guests as well. There's probably that thing to go a bit more for the parties and stuff. I know when we went to Disney World a few years ago, we did go to the Halloween party and enjoyed it. We went back a year later and the Halloween party, and we're like, well, no, we're not going to go to it because we went to see it late before. It's kind of one of those things that it's going to be odd. It definitely doesn't sort of appeal. I think maybe to locals, it's not really that. I'm wondering if it is very much kind of if you're spending, because it's going to cost that much to be there around Christmas anyway. Whether or not they're just going, oh, well, we're just going to, they want to. Make some more money, but also maybe put people to go to the other nights.
That's true, and I think also what happened was the parties were starting to get really popular because they are really fun and they're really good, and they're not like this recent nighttime party where you're just going for 3 hours extra in the park. There's actually like a parade and a show, and you get to go trick or treating, and it's got special merchandise, and so it started to get really popular. And the problem with that was that people were paying $60, $70, and the park was crowded. And you're saying, what is a special show? So I think they're also trying to up the money so that the shows don't quite have as much crowd, and you get that exclusive feeling of being able to just walk on some rides and do things like that.
Yeah, because they did have that sort of recently. They had that show which was the special after hours, which was really kind of the Trident, and it looks like that's been sort of cancelled because it really just didn't seem to be bringing in enough shows.
Yep. The after hours, and there was another one of early morning hours. Terrible idea. I mean, it was like, I don't know how much, over $100 a person, and you got, what, 3 hours in the park? I mean, that's it?
Yeah.
Come on, that's as much as a ticket costs on some days.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was watching this Unplugged, and Pete was saying basically how he loved it because it was kind of reminding him of what the parks used to be like in the winter, where it was empty, and he loved the fact that you might pay a bit more to do it, but being able to get on the rides, you could take decent photographs, it wasn't crowded, and it's not for everyone, but there was advantages to it. But I think as far as keeping it running, for the amount of discounts that we're having to do on those tickets, it just wasn't bringing enough money. And also, if they're not enough people in there, there's not enough people buying food. There's nice.
Yeah. I agree. I just feel like, I mean, if you're rich, sure, throw down whatever. But I don't have that kind of money for 3 hours, and especially being a local. I mean, I don't really, doesn't do anything for me. So.
Yeah, and also, I think as well, we've got stuff. A lot of it is testing the waters, see what they can get away with, see if they can spread out the thing. As far as the tiered going for the pricing for the tickets, I understand why they're doing that, because so many other places, you look at train travel, air travel, cinema tickets. You pay more to go on certain times and certain things when it's busy.
Yeah, hotels. Yeah.
Hotels. It's nothing abnormal to that. So I think people just got so used to not having to worry about it, and it was so much I mean, Disney can be complicated enough as it is without having all this tiered stuff.
Yeah. I think that Disney had to do it, and especially they're having a problem. I think we talked about this last time, but they're having a problem in California where they really had to raise the prices a lot for the annual pass holders because the parks are just getting too crowded. People love going to Disney, and it's just they need to increase the price to the point where you're not waiting 3 hours to go on a ride anymore. People want to pay that large amount and have that experience, and Disney is known for giving people their quality experiences, and tiered pricing is just part of getting that quality experience that you expect when you go to Disney.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of one of those things I think with, like, when it gets busy, on one hand, supply and demand. If it's really, really busy, you can creep up your prices because you are busy, and therefore that makes sense. But also the long term effects of it being coming back here. It's too busy. I'm not coming back. Remember that time? I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and we went with a family, and we were English. We didn't know what Thanksgiving really was. Turning up to Thanksgiving on Magic Kingdom on Thanksgiving Day, it was horrendous. And we jumped over to Epcot because we're like, well, why is everybody here? What's going on? It's like, well, it's like Christmas Day here, and it's like, and we still remember that 20 years later, and we would advise everyone, don't go at Thanksgiving. That will last for, that probably, those memories will go on. And if people are starting to, it's too busy, it's too much long, you're going to lose a generation or two because they don't like want to wait all that time.
Yep, and that's happened to me too. I mean, before we moved to Florida, my wife and I we left the kids at home with the grandparents, and my wife and I flew down to LA, and we did Disneyland on the first 24-hour party that they had, which was in 2012. And we got there, and we paid all this money for a flight, and we had a hotel at Disneyland Hotel, and we went up to the gate at 7 o'clock at night, and they're like, sorry, park's capacity. We couldn't get in the park until 3 a.m. And so it's like, why am I paying all this money to come down here? And it left a really bad taste in the mouth about how they run the 24-hour parties in LA. And we never did it again. And Disney needs to be careful about the experience. And I think that this pricing is one way to do that. So.
I mean, as well as that, I mean, it's like, if I would say I'm going all the way to LA and I turn out to go to Disneyland because I bought my ticket, 6-8 months, a year ago, because and you go, oh, you can't get in when they're full. It's like, well, this was the reason we came.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Right, get rid of those annual pass holders. They can come tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's why they've increased the annual pass price. I mean, I think the most premium annual pass in Disneyland right now is over $1,000 for the annual pass, which is about $300 to $400 more than the pass here at Disney World, because the locals just flood the park in California because the houses are pushed right up next to the park, so you've just got people just going into Disneyland all the time. It's just like after school, let's go. After whatever, after work, let's go. And so they just had to increase the price.
Yeah. It's definitely a bit odd. Right. Okay. Let's have a quick look here. I think we've gone through your entire list of all the things from over the last couple of weeks since we last spoke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like you said, there's just so much going on at Disney World now, especially in the summer, because getting all ready. Because I think whatever comes in this summer, I think that's probably going to be it, probably for the rest of the year.
Yeah. The stuff that's coming here in June is pretty much it, and there's new shops, of course, in Disney Springs opening in the summer. But this is it. All the stuff is opening now. They're getting ready for the summer crowds. All the people want to come and see the new stuff, and then they'll get ready for the Food and Wine Festival and the Halloween party and the Christmas party, and then 2017. That's when you're going to talk about Avatar, and that's when you're going to start hearing release or opening dates for Toy Story Land and things like that. So
when is it Toy Story Land next year, or is it going to be 2018?
I think it's going to be 2018. Who knows? It might even be 2019 because they haven't even said. They're going to want Avatar to get its day in the sun, right? So they're going to be pushing Avatar all through 2017. Yeah. I think 2018. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, hopefully those Avatar movies actually come out, because they keep getting pushed back. I'm going to be honest. I love the Avatar movie, but it really depends. If that second movie bombs, man, is that going to be a hard thing to swallow for Disney? I think that money, pre-Marvel, pre-Star Wars buyout, probably wish they didn't bother with it.
Yeah, I think it's very risky for Disney of what they did. And I wouldn't be surprised if Disney is having a very large say in these movies. And if it doesn't look like it's going to be a good movie, I bet you Disney says, no, you're going to delay this thing and you're going to fix it. Because they've got so much invested in the park.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder if they're maybe working together. I don't know if they're necessarily working together with it, but trying to dodge Star Wars, which is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I bet you Disney's working with them because Disney has to have Avatar be successful. They've spent so much money making Avatar part of this land. Disney is pretty much like a partner almost in this experience, and I bet you Disney has a large say in what's going to happen with these movies. And that may be partly why they got delayed, because they wanted it to be 3 or 4 more movies, and they wanted it to be done right. And you're right. Let's pray that it is done right. Otherwise, it's going to look like a disaster.
Yeah, I think in some ways, if Avatar does work out right, at least they've got like 3-4 movies to kind of spread out over the next 10 years, and that area is all going to look nice and fresh and kind of keep everyone entertained and stuff. So it's definitely, I think it should be good fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about Avatar. I think it looks cool, and it gives us something new to do while we're waiting for Toy Story. And then Toy Story is probably going to be in 2018. Star Wars, who knows? Probably 2019 or 2020, more likely. And I suppose it really depends on like how quick. Because I'm wondering if they want to get it out for. They got to try and get it out before Episode 9 hits, but then I don't even think Episode 9 is going to be the end of it. I think they're going to be rolling this Star Wars train every year for a long time. I agree. I think it's going to be like Marvel. Like they're just going to, Marvel. You think, oh, they've got the Avengers, and they're bringing Thor in and Iron Man, but then all of a sudden they're saying Doctor Strange over here and Ant-Man over here, and they start expanding. And I think Disney's going to just continue to movie every single year. There's a new Star Wars movie.
Well, they can get away with 2-3 Marvel movies. I wouldn't be surprised with Star Wars. And like the episodes, we tend to think trilogy based because that's what we've been used to. Now that I think, once we have, Rogue One, we got a spin-off movie. you know, obviously we had the Ewok movies before, but it should be kind of, I think we're just going to get used to start seeing some different kind of episodes and stories and stuff.
Yeah, and I hope that Disney eventually stops going back in time. You know, I know people want to see Darth Vader, and they want to, you know, they want that Death Star and the old story. But I do hope that they branch out in the future and start creating new characters. And you know, you can't just have Darth Vader and Yoda be these iconic characters forever. You have to create new characters too. So I hope that they do that.
I'm kind of hoping in some ways that we get a little bit, maybe a movie or two in between episode 3 and episode 4, like Rogue One, to kind of fill in that kind of connection bit, because of kind of went from clones and that, and then they suddenly disappeared and all the robots and stuff. So, but like you say, you know, let's get some new characters, let's get some new bits and pieces going in there, and you know, make Kylo Ren that, you know, that badass, and maybe even introduce a new Jedi or, you know, Sith or something like that. Kind of, you know, really gonna do it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode of the podcast. So again, big thank you for Ethan for joining me again this month on going for all of the Walt Disney World. Always great to have him on and kind of getting his view on what's going down.
I've got a total internet jam up here. You totally froze up on me here. You're not even moving. Hold on.
But yes, thank you very much for watching. Also, check us out as well at DisKingdom.com. And thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys in a later episode. So later. Bye-bye.